Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Reelfilms. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6. I'm your host, Jason, and I have a guest with me here today.
I'm Ronny again.
A reoccurring guest. But yeah, let's get right into this episode. Episode 6, the flashback episode.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal's back, and
Probably for the last time.
Yeah. Unless they do something different, but it was very good to see him. The entire length of the episode was just pure flashback, which was really cool. And the basic formula for this episode was going through Ellie's birthdays since the end of season 1. And I thought that was very interesting. How did you feel about this episode overall?
I like the birthday thing because we never get to see those birthdays in the games. We only see like the museum birthday. So kind of it's a very smart way to do it because we see their relationship at the most pure, and then we slowly throughout her age see like that poison, that corruption come in from his lie, and something that can be ignored. So I thought this episode was great overall. It's probably the best episode of the entire show, but that's because we have Joel and Ellie on screen for pretty much all of it.
And I loved like the emphasis Joel had about getting her a cake every year, especially since like day one of the outbreak, it was his birthday. Yeah. And his daughter really wanted a cake to celebrate his birthday, and he never got a chance to do it.
He forgot to get a cake.
He forgot to get a cake, and he said he's going to get it tomorrow. Unfortunately, that never happened.
Well, fortunately, because the flower was
That is true,
infected.
Actually. They would have been infected.
Yeah.
But yeah, they never got a cake, so I'm glad. It's very sentimental to him, especially to get Ellie a cake every year for her birthday. And it's also very interesting because she's technically the only one who can really eat like a normal cake.
I'm thinking like the flower is okay now.
Yeah, because when he asked, what's his name? Seth to make a cake, he didn't seem like...
It seems like Seth just makes cakes all the time.
Exactly. So I'm like, it could be like a sub flour cake.
You can sub the flour too, so maybe that's that. But
yeah, I thought that was very sweet. The first birthday since the season 1 finale was he made her a cake for the first time.
Yes.
It didn't seem like she knew how to eat a cake. She just went to town with her hands. Yeah. And he made her a guitar. And I thought...
Yes, we finally got that iconic scene. I was wondering where they're going to put it because it didn't happen where it should have. But it was really sweet. I liked hearing Pedro Pascal sing. I didn't know he could. I
100% know he can't play the guitar because of the camera angle.
Because it wasn't his hands?
It wasn't his hands.
They've done that multiple times in the show. I'm like, that's not Pedro Pascal's hand.
Yeah. But for Ellie, Bella does know how to play the guitar.
She does.
Yeah, so that was very cool.
So we get the full of her playing the guitar.
Yeah, because we usually see her entire body and like her strumming and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty much first birthday. Was there any other significance for that?
No, it's... familiar territory, at least for people who play the game. I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, we do get to see how Joel literally makes everything for Ellie like from scratch. Like you get to see his like workshop. That's like something new that we really don't see in the game. Yeah. And that makes it even more special that he like makes the guitar for her.
Yeah, he's not like trading it or something.
Yeah.
He even got one of her little like sketches on the frets.
He engraved that thing. That wasn't in the game. Yeah. So it's pretty
very
cute.
Sweet. He really like cares a lot about her and like the little things, which is really cool. And that segues into her next birthday, which is museum.
Yes.
So that birthday, Joel takes her on a little trip to the museum. And before that, it's like a giant T-Rex sculpture. Ellie loves dinosaurs. So seeing her climb up, that was straight from the game, straight to the dialogue. That was very cool. This entire sequence just felt completely ripped from the game.
Yeah, it's almost one for one. And I think it's just as good as the game. Yeah. The takeoff ignition sequence inside the space capsule, that literally bar for bar, and to the credit of Pedro and Bella, like it just seemed like Joel and Ellie from the game.
Yeah. Even like that little scene where he like gives her like a rock. Yeah. And you're like, you can pick whatever helmet you want. She just like chucks it out the window to pick whatever she wants. I thought that was very sweet. Also the little hinting. This was also in the game too. I'm pretty sure like he thought Ellie has a thing for Jesse.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. And that segues into the birthday next year.
Well, yeah, but before that, though,
What am I
at
forgetting?
the end of the flashback, we get that, pan to like the fireflies in the forest, which she sees. In the game, she sees like, a mural on the wall, like of them. But I like to hear she's like, there's this like moment of like pure happiness. I think Neil or whoever is saying like, this is the happiest I'll ever be. And then that just takes her out of it completely. Because that underlying lie is still there, even though
she's still doubting him. She's still questioning like what actually happened that day.
Yeah.
And we'll see a little bit more of that in the episode later on. But the birthday after, this was not really in the game at all. And I thought it was very funny. So Joel comes home early from a patrol. He has a cake ready. Mm-hmm. He's like at her door. He's doing like weird noises, knocking. You can hear Ellie say shit. Mm-hmm. And he knows something is up, opens the door. Ellie's, she's with Kat. And he got everything a teenage daughter would do in one moment. Yeah. It was her, they were making out. Yeah. He finds pot in the corner of her window. She was making a tattoo on Ellie's arm. He basically got like 5 years of a teenage daughter in like one moment. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's on brand for Ellie as well, just to like fuck it, like just to surprise Joel like that. Yeah. Pedro Pascal played that really, really great, and it's interesting because he never got to do like all that stuff with Sarah, so like that's a first thing for him to see, and so the way he reacts kind of mirrors that.
Yeah. And also, like, the way he said, like, you're experimenting with girls and stuff. It's weird to think because, obviously, dude from Texas who's Hispanic, they obviously have, like, their own morals. But, like, not just that. The outbreak happened, like, in 2003. Yeah. Back then, like, gay marriage wasn't even, like, legal and stuff. So, like, he's just trying to, like, wrap his head around this.
Yeah.
In a way.
And I appreciate that that's there, but I also appreciate that they don't make, like, Joel some, like, really homophobe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's just, like, he's confused. He's like, wait, this is, like, a thing still?
And there's so much going on, so. Yeah.
But
you see Ellie, though, stand up for herself.
Yeah.
Against him. And I mean, she does that in season 1, but like you can tell, and props to Bella because the way she acts, from 15, 16, 17, 18, you can see, in the costuming and her portrayal of Ellie, like her age over time. And seeing her in the 15-year-old, version of her and the flashbacks makes me realize she does look different from when she was younger.
Really?
Yeah. She has different hair. She like acts, she has a deeper voice. She acts more mature. And I don't know what the vibe was in episode 1, but it was not, I don't know what happened with episode 1, but here it just feels right. Like it feels that she's grown over time.
I'm going to make a little segue from that. You know who directed this episode?
Yes, Neil.
Yeah. There's a pattern that people are starting to notice between Craig Mason's episodes and Neil's episodes, that there's a kind of a quality difference, especially for this season. Last season, we really couldn't notice that. Yeah. But in this season, it's like the characters are acting more like the game and are almost like written better. Who is the writer for this episode?
Neil Druckmann, Haley Gross, who is also the co-writer of The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah. And then Craig Mason also has a writing credit. Yeah,
this episode just felt so much more pure. You get that emotion you got like from the game compared to like the previous episodes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about this, and she was saying that this episode feels like it was ripped out of season 1, and I agree. Quality-wise, characterization-wise, like Ellie acts more like Ellie, if that makes sense.
I agree.
And Joel acts more like Joel, and it just feels right. And I brought the Craig episodes up to her as well, and it's just like episode 1 and 2 were pretty good. I thought. Episode 2
I thought they were
is
pretty
like
good,
very, very good. But that slump between 3, 4, 5, it just seems like there was not enough oversight from Neil, and we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, obviously, but it just felt off, and he was the only writer for those episodes. So
I think we'll get a bigger justification for next week's episode because it's the same as Neil, same writer. Yeah. So if that episode's also really good and we notice like a quality difference, there might be some underlying thing going on. Yeah. The one thing I was going to say was like we see Neil a lot during like the the extras at the end. Yeah. But it seemed like this was the only episode where he was actually on set for. Like they had like set pictures of him, and I was like, wait, they didn't have that before. He was only in like the camera talks and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems like he's split between what's going on at Naughty Dog right now compared to what's going on, with the show. It just makes me. There's a lot of things. And there was a recent interview with Craig saying like, yeah, we might need 4 seasons. And it's like, okay, I'm scared because like it seems like you guys could have done this in 2 seasons, and at the very most 3 seasons. This shit should be wrapped up by season 3. Going into season 4 with it, I'm like, maybe Craig needs to take a step back and reassess the story, because what would season 4 even be?
In my opinion, I don't know if I can say that yet, but the stuff that happens after that would happen after next week's episode and timeline wise, chronological.
But like there isn't enough story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, or like I saw someone like on TikTok earlier today, like, are they just gonna make like 2 like 5-episode seasons and just like stretch it out over 4 years so people would watch it? Which I'm like, I don't hope they don't do that. As a business point, I get what they're doing, but I feel like this season should have been longer episode wise.
It should have been.
Yeah. And then next season should have also been longer to fit all the content.
Well, apparently next season will be longer. And I'm like, why did you shorten this season so much with Ellie and have a longer season with let's just say different perspectives? And Ellie is the person that we care the most about, so it's weird.
And like I feel like the entire story for this season has been so rushed. Like the first episode, I thought they were paced very well, but starting from Seattle, we didn't get Ellie's like rageable moment until the episode before this one, and we have one more episode left.
Yeah.
Which is like,
seems like a lot happens.
It's like, oh, she's like steady rage, and we have one more episode to really showcase that, and that's it.
It doesn't help that the penultimate episode is a flashback.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so we have Seattle day 3 to get through, all of it, by the way.
Yeah,
and the end of that day, which is a whole lot of things happening.
I don't even think they're gonna do the end of the day. I think it's going to cut off.
Well, yes, I do think that. But I'm also nervous because it's 50 minutes, apparently. This episode also was an hour, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
An hour without credits. So with credits, it was over an hour. I'm like, this is how all these episodes should be. I felt like everything had a moment.
One of them was like
breathe.
40 minutes, and I was like...
Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Now we have a finale that's 50 minutes, again, like season 1. And season 1 finale was rushed.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do this. And I know if the way that I think is going to happen for next week's episode, I think a lot of people are going to be pissed, especially if they haven't played the game. They're going to be like, why are they ending it like this?
Oh, yeah. It's going to end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And that works sometimes. And I don't think it will this time. It reminds me of The Walking Dead and that cliffhanger where it's just like, oh yeah, that happened. Wait a whole summer to find out. And with this show, it may not just be a year. It may be 2 years. Because it was 2 years since the last season.
Yeah. And it's not even like a cliffhanger, like, oh, this scene is over, cliffhanger. No, mid-scene, like beginning of the scene pretty much. Yeah. So, yeah, I think fans are going to be a little confused and annoyed.
Well, I guess we can talk about that next episode.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about next episode. I will say, oh my gosh, what's her name? She spoke out. It was the therapist, the actor for the therapist. Oh, Gail, yeah. They asked her if she was going to be coming back, and she said no, because she's not going to be in the next season. And she straight up just told everyone what the story of season 3 is going to be now. Yeah. If you haven't played the game. Yeah. And I'm like, uh-oh. I don't think they should have done that. I don't know if they should have done that now.
I don't think they should have done that either. But I fear for this show. I fear.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This should have been the last season, and it should have been 14 episodes.
And even if there was like a little break, like 1 to 2 months or 3 months, like I would have been okay with that. Yeah. But yeah. But let's get back to the good of this episode. This episode was really good. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the future a little later. We all have worries. But no, this episode, we went through all of Ellie's birthdays. We did the museum. We did her rebellious era. I thought it was very sad where she was like moving her stuff out in the middle of the night, like at 3 a.m. I thought that was
and it's sweet that Joel fixed the place up for her, but him kind of, being the one to initiate, being like, yeah, maybe you should go to like the garage. It's just like that rift between them just grows further because they're not even in the same house anymore.
Yeah. We don't like seeing Pedro Pascal sad. Like, it's, I didn't like that. He seemed like a sad dad. Like, oh my God.
And it gets even more sad in the next, I guess that's where we catch up in the next flashback, right?
Yeah, and we finally found out what happened to Eugene. Yeah. And it was pretty much how people speculated it, except for like a lot of people thought like, oh, he knew about Ellie's immunity. And stuff.
It was way simpler than.
Yeah. He got bit, and he had one wish, and he wanted to see his wife, Gail, before he died and got infected. That was pretty much all he wished for. And Ellie was like, hey, we have time. We can get him back to Jackson and do it. And Joel was like, no, let's shoot him now. It's not safe. She was like, I'm going to get the horses. Please don't kill him. And he swears and promises that he's not going to do it. And now this is the connection I really loved seeing. And that was he takes Eugene to this area, gun pointed to the back of his head. It was a very beautiful shot. I thought it was really nice. And we figured out that Eugene didn't just want to see his wife, just like tell her last things. He wanted her to be the last thing he saw before he died. Yeah. And then you see Joel's counter to that. If you really love them, you'll see them no matter what. And it kept panning to Eugene's head. I thought they were going to show it, like just straight up shot to the head. And then it cut to just like the environment. You see the birds. It was completely silent. I'm so glad they did that. The tension was kind of there. I thought I was going to see a bullet go through this dude's head.
Yeah. And it ties back to episode 1 because, Joel, the last thing that Joel sees is Ellie when he dies, which I thought was nice. And also mentions, references Sarah.
Yeah.
So it was really sad. And I got where Joel was coming from, being very, very overprotective. But yeah.
Like he did the right thing in a way. The one thing I didn't like was like he should have promised and swore to Ellie. He could have just told her like no and just kept doing that, and I feel like she would have budged eventually.
Joel has this thing of distorting reality for people. He doesn't want to hurt them, but he also doesn't have to face the consequences of his actions necessarily. And that gets Joel in a lot of trouble, and it gets him in trouble later on here because Ellie is pissed.
Yeah, so Ellie's mad because this is pretty much mirroring what happened in Salt Lake City with the whole the Fireflies and stuff. So
I appreciate that. I was like, how are they going to do this? Because it doesn't make any sense realistically for her to go all the way to fucking Salt Lake City, find out the information, and then go all the way back. Yeah. But I love that she doesn't have to do that. She's smart enough to figure out herself that he lied. She knew, underneath that something was wrong.
In the same scenario, he should have just lied to her face.
Exactly.
And so they go back to Jackson and they're like telling Gail like what happened. Joel's basically telling her to lie, and he's full on lie. Like every little detail was complete bullshit.
He's like he ended himself. I'm like,
and then she was like crying, hugging him, and then Ellie, oh my god, she should have said, "Nah, that's cap. That's not what happened." Completely told everything that happened to Gail, and I was like jaw on the floor, and she like slaps him and stuff and just like storms off, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, Joel had it coming, and you could see that difference between their characters. Ellie does not lie. She does not lie.
Yeah, she doesn't lie.
She's no bullshit. She tells the truth. Joel, on the other hand, lies so much, and he knows that it will come back to get him eventually. Pedro Pascal, the hurt on his face when Ellie starts telling the truth to Gail, he's gonna get an Emmy for this episode. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And that line where it's like, you swore in the episode, in the trailers, we were like, oh, this is the moment where she goes to Salt Lake, she finds out. And no, different context, but it's still about the same thing. She's still referencing that. So I thought that was a good...
It's both the same thing. Eugene's death and the Firefly's death, it's pretty much the same thing. And then this goes to the porch scene, which was not in the game until the very end. I'm kind of glad they put it in this area. I thought it worked, in my opinion.
I'm glad too. Otherwise, we would have to wait now, apparently, 2 seasons, which could be up to 4 years until we got that would not work.
Yeah, Bella would have been much older. Pedro, I don't think he wants. He's way too booked now for anything else. But we got that scene. And that scene was so beautifully done.
I think it's better than the game.
100%. I think the little expressions like Pedro did specifically was crazy. And that actually made me think of something we didn't talk about. At the beginning of the episode, there was a flashback to Pedro and Joel and Tommy as kids. And it showed that they basically had an abusive dad. And it was played by, oh my God, this actor.
I recognize him immediately, but I don't know his name.
He's from Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad,
Hawkeye. And Dog Game, too.
Yeah. And that's how we got casted. Like, during that scene, Neil was like, yeah, he's going to be in our game now. What is his name? Was it Tony Dalton? Oh, Tony. Yeah, Tony Dalton is his name.
Tony Dalton.
He was great.
in his like 1 minute.
It was 1 minute. I thought he did like really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gave us a little backstory because there's always sense where like Joel was like, I took care of you to Tommy like all these years. And you get that little thing where Tommy got in trouble for like getting drugs. Young Joel was like, hey, I will take the beating for you. It shows how protective he was. And we find out like the dad's a cop too.
Yeah.
And like the way he did it didn't seem like abusive in a way. It just seemed like an Hispanic father back then. Like he still like, cared about his kids. And there was this little quote that he said like, my dad was so much worse and like I'm doing better. And he gives like, if you ever have kids, I hope you do a little better than me. And that tie-in to the porch scene where he was like, I hope to Ellie one day when you have kids, you do a little better than me. Because he was talking about how like this is the confrontation where he's like, yeah, I killed all the fireflies. Was there a chance for the cure? He's like, yeah, but he said he would do it all over again for her.
Yeah, like that flashback that connects to that, and also it shows that Joel from a very young age lies to protect the people that he loves.
Yeah.
Just like he lied to Ellie to quote unquote protect her, from the truth. Yeah. And I love that when Ellie's like grilling him on the questions, he can't even say it. He just shakes his head and nods. Because
I'm surprised he nods when he said, "Will they make? Was like a cure like possible?" I felt like in the game it was like he in his head believed like they weren't gonna do it anyway.
Okay, let's get into that actually.
Yeah,
because there's this whole thing about like the cure is possible, the cure is possible. We'll never know, but everything we've heard from the show, from the creators themselves, have said that a cure is possible
in this universe. Yeah,
yes,
obviously,
in the TV universe. Yeah. Specifically. Yeah. And I'm like, at this point, Joel, the only thing he's been told is that they could have made a cure. He doesn't
Ellie just doubt that.
Yeah, he was that's all he cares about. He doesn't give a fuck about whether the cure's not going to work or not. He cares about that she's going to die. And Ellie is, she does that thing where she's like, you took that from me. I was supposed to die. By the way, sounded just like Ashley Johnson there. Yeah. And like you said, he says he'd do it all over again, just like the game. But here in the show, he actually says that he loves her. Which I thought was very nice to hear. Because in the game, we never hear that. We just kind of know.
Like, but it feels a lot better knowing he said, I love you to Ellie before he died.
Yes. In this version of Pedro, this version of Pedro, this version of Joel would definitely say that. I don't know if the game Joel would say that. And here, like, they seem even more father and daughter than in the game.
100%.
Like, that, we forgot to talk about when she, like, burns her arm and she comes up and he's like, kisses her on the forehead and stuff. I'm like, this is like, they're like legit like a family, which makes it even more heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. I will say the one thing about that, though, I feel like there wasn't a big transition. Oh, obviously, like, years have passed. Yeah. But, like, even, like, to, like, the first birthday since Salt Lake City, I was like, I feel like in the first season, it was just, like, guardian relationship. But then that first birthday, they're, like, father-daughter, like, immediately, in my opinion.
I guess after everything they had gone through, it would... Yeah. But, like, we don't get that transition. And speaking of transitions, I get it. Like, the 1 year later thing. Yeah. I wish they could have done that in a more creative way where they didn't have to, like, spell out that time had passed.
Yeah, because it just kept saying, like, they just cut it, faded to black 1 year later, faded to black 1 year later, faded to black like 2 years later.
You guys could do better than this.
Yeah, it just sounded like a linear progression. I was like, they could have got a little bit more creative with that. Yeah. But I noticed like once after like the third time, I was like, all right, what is this? Just cut to black transition. I was like, okay.
And oddly enough, it's a cut to black transition to give that scene room to breathe. Yeah. But in the porch scene, I'm sitting on the couch, me and Brooke are watching together, we're like, upset. Yeah. And like we get like 1 second of darkness before we cut back to the future. I'm like, I didn't even get to process what just happened. Yeah. It needed more time. The episode needed to be longer. But even here you can see where they're kind of rushing things.
Yeah, they were.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, they had the time, or they could have made more episodes.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's your thoughts on having all the flashbacks in one episode versus like having them sprinkled throughout the whole season?
I wondered before this show even started, like even before season 1, how they would do the flashbacks in season 2. Mm-hmm. And I think that it works here, especially because this episode is to drive that point home of, and to show that Ellie eventually was on her path to forgive Joel. Yeah. It would have just been weird if, because in the game, she just goes to sit by a guitar, and then it starts. I'm like, if that happened every single time in the show, that would be a bit jarring and, like, gamey. Uh-huh. So I do like that it's all in one episode.
But, yeah, this episode was great. I thought it was on par with episode 2 in my opinion for this season, and definitely like it's 100% top 4 for me. I think the episode this mirrors a lot is episode 3 of season 1 with Bill and Frank.
Oh yeah,
with that emotionality, and then episode 5 of the first season mirrors episode 2 with like the action and the motion.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, this is definitely top 2 for this season, but there's only one more episode left,
and
which is kind of scaring me a little bit with how much they're gonna get through. Because I saw the preview, and they have all the bits,
they do,
and I'm like, okay, they're gonna do all of it. This is gonna be paced so.
They're gonna do all of it. If it's 50 minutes. With credits, I think it's without credits 50 minutes, but 50 minutes, the amount of things that are going to happen and the speed at which we're going to turn away from these things is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, this episode as a whole makes me want to go back to the game. And it's going to be kind of hard, especially with the port scene, to not compare it to the show, which is the reverse of what we've been doing this entire time. And I just love when the show does things better. You know, the episodes that are the best in the show are when the show does it better than the game. 100%. It changes something. It like warps like a certain like events that happen, and it's just better in the show. And those are the best episodes. Yeah,
and I feel like Craig Mason has a lot of impact on those ones, like the new stuff.
Yeah,
but I feel like the stuff that's like already in the game, it's a little like he understands the material enough to create really like new and original things.
Yeah,
but like. Maintaining the stuff that's in the game, I feel like that might be an issue.
Which is odd, but also I think the show should embrace that because people, as you can see, and like, you know, on social media, will always compare the game to the show. Yeah. Why not just, you know, do different things, keeping that same essence, that same structure of the story, but like, who says you have to adhere to any of it?
Yeah, because there's just like, I remember there was just one scene, it was between Pedro and Bella. They were in like a bedroom in season 1. And each line was straight from the game, and I was like, "This didn't feel natural like at all." Like I would just let the actors like say it how they wanted to be honest, because they were like, "Oh, we want it to be just like the game," but I'm like, it didn't feel natural like at all for them to speak that.
I remember in the interview for the episode, they're like, you know, we know this is like, because that scene was also a pivotal scene for the first game. And then we have a pivotal scene for the second game. Yeah. And in the second game, it has all the most of the lines from the game, but there's new bits. There's
exactly. They let the actors like do their thing.
And it's their own like version. Like this is the show's version of Ellie. This is the show's version of Pedro in that scene. And I think that they're excellent.
Exactly.
They honestly, you know, Bella's performance is a little bit more understated in this episode. It's a bit more silent, like more, you know, in her head.
Yeah.
I think they both deserve Emmys for this episode. For this season, anyway, just any episode of the season, I think they should get something.
Especially, I love Pedro in this season.
He's so good.
He was so good.
He's so Joel.
Because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't when his official casting came, I was like, really? But I didn't have like doubts as much because I was like, I've seen this dude play like a father figure in so many other movies and shows. So I'm like, he can do it. And he's proved me wrong time and time again that he's not just being casted because he's a super popular actor. This dude has talent and he has range to play so many different characters. Like, and I think he's going to kill it in Fantastic Four, playing another father figure.
I was just about to say, like, he can play anything and he's a chameleon. Like,
he is.
There is, when I look at Joel in this TV show, I see Pedro Pascal, obviously, but I don't see anything that would clue me into, like, that he's acting.
Exactly.
Like, nah.
He has, like, that Texas, like, Southern accent throughout.
His mannerisms, the way he walks, just like the Joel in the game. I'm like, how can I look back at the game Joel anymore?
It's weird because he's never played the game either.
He hasn't.
Yeah.
Neither has Bella.
Yeah, I think Bella said she, like, played, like, she saw, like, walk through and stuff. But, yeah, Joel straight up didn't. I feel like he understood the character enough even to add his own flair, which is like, I think the vulnerability aspect is something I'm very glad they acted in the game. So he's not super like one-dimensional in a way. Yeah,
and Pedro does a lot of heavy lifting, but also the writing and the direction in the episodes that he's like fantastic in. Like, how can you... I don't know how you can direct someone to act like a character that they've never seen before, but they managed to do it. It's perfect.
You gave them enough like information to really like build off.
Yeah.
No, that was great. We're all going to miss Pedro. We're probably never going to see him again.
He might make like an appearance in season 3. Maybe.
Have you seen his lineup for like this year, dude?
Yeah, I know. And they're supposed to be filming this in summer. Was it this summer or next summer? I think it was next summer that they're supposed to be filming.
Probably.
No, it's this summer.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
He's apparently a very key point in Doomsday, so.
Yeah, he's booked at Marvel, which good for him.
Yeah.
I hope a lot and you know, Belle doesn't have anything. Dina has Isabella. She's
Superman. And Peacemaker.
Yeah, she's gone into a superhero franchise. Pedro's gone.
I literally saw a TikTok this morning where she was filming both of them at the same time. So she would have like 8 flights a month almost, like going back and forth. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And the fact that she can be so good in this show and having all that, like, she's a star for sure. She's one of the stars to come out of this show.
Yeah,
for sure.
Easily. But yeah, that was episode 6 of The Last of Us Season 2. Very strong episode. If you've tuned out of the show due to Joel's death, I would definitely come back.
Oh, yeah. This is like one of the best episodes of TV this year.
Yeah, period. I would definitely come back, and even if you like don't want to watch the rest.
You could literally, if you played the second game, you could come back just for this episode because you know the things that have happened.
Exactly.
And it's perfect.
It was such a good episode. Well acted, well written, well directed. And yeah, we'll be back on Reelfilms, The Last of Us Season 2 for the finale next week. Let's see how that goes.